All right. Hello, all of you backdroppers out there. It is November 7th, 2019, and this is the fortnightly design meeting, design and usability meeting. Jen is at a conference today, so I'll be running the meeting. Let's see. We don't have any new items, I don't think, this week, spoiler alert. So I'll be going through our agenda of normal items and seeing if we have any updates on the items that are specified in the agenda. So first thing we usually do is go over our websites. So of these, we have some items for the API website, api.backdropcms.org. There's a big issue that the site navigation is pretty messed up on any kind of mobile screen. It's issue number 47 in the api.backdropcms.org issue queue. There's no pull request yet for this. It looks like it's mostly a CSS related issue. So anyone that's interested in taking on a potentially fairly easy large impact fix for the API website, issue number 47 is probably straightforward to fix that. On the main website, backdropcms.org, we've got two issues that we'd like to improve. One longstanding one that we have been mentioning for quite a while is issue 442 in the backdropcms.org issue queue, and that's the search system for modules, themes, and layouts. We have a very nice set of designs that have been put together to make it so that when you're searching for projects on backdropcms.org, there's all of these nice filters and sorting options, but that has not been implemented on the actual website. So if you're looking for something that requires a little bit more in-depth effort and would like to contribute to backdropcms.org, that issue 442 is a good one, but will require a combination of both site building and theming, and it's tricky theming, probably some JavaScript as well. But the designs that we have are really excellent to get that really much easier and nicer looking for our users. Secondly, there's the try backdrop page. We have an issue 555. There's some discussion in there. I saw just this week about adding Platform SH. They have a new system for demoing various different platforms. But there's also some just discussion around the try backdrop page in general and the way that we should be formatting that. Some additional feedback would definitely be useful. There's some different opinions in there. It's also been expressed that potentially right now we're doing something to make it be unbiased. We're randomly sorting the list of various providers, but that has proven to be slightly confusing. I know that we did a workshop where we were trying to tell people to use the Pantheon one, and what we were showing on the projector was different than what everyone in the room was seeing because everybody was seeing results in a different order. So that potentially can cause confusion at times. Hi, Gregory. Welcome to the meeting. So we're covering the websites right now, and I was just about to go into the product. Is there anything you'd like to discuss on any of our websites, API sites, the flagship site, or any of the other ones?
No, sorry, I didn't catch the. Was the issue fixed with the API site not being synced after all?
Yes, the API site has been fixed, so now it's now up to date with the latest code again. There was another issue with the API site. I just mentioned that the navigation is broken on mobile on the API website.
Okay, cool. No.
Yeah, I guess Peter, BW Panda here, at the beginning of the call, we were talking about how people can get involved and help manage those websites. And I was relating to him that I've been pushing forward with using 1Password for account management to make it so that we can more easily distribute responsibilities and access to various servers. And so I'm hoping that that will help, and BW Panda is generously offered to actually take on a systems administrator role as well, which is kind of maybe alleviating some of the work or load on Justin, who's right now kind of, our main systems administrator. But in that 1Password account, one thing that we have that not everybody has been able to get access to is the sanitized database dumps, because anyone can work on or has access to the API and the main website. Actually, all of our websites are just public Git repositories on GitHub. So all of our code bases are always publicly accessible for anyone to download and install a copy of the site locally. However, they all need the database in order for it to actually work effectively. And so I'm hoping that by sharing those credentials, we'll be able to spread access to like the sanitized database to a much wider audience and keep track of who actually has access to them by using 1Password now.
So 1Password is the same like LastPass, like a service, password management service. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'll probably mention this in the next meeting too, but they approved our free organization account, so we can share with as many people as we want, like an unlimited account, which is nice of them.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to Backdrop, the product, and some design and UX issues to discuss here. So in the category of UX stuff, one of the new features in 1.14 is flexible templates, and there's some confusing terminology around when you configure a flexible template, how that row functions. And it basically is like, how wide is the row? Does it go all the way to the edges of the window, or does it have margins on it? And there's 3 options right now called maximum width, fixed width, and always full width of the page. And there's just discussion around terminology around which one of those things is, like, how we can make that more clear. So there's a pull request on this one. It's issue 4081. And I think at this point, it says it needs feedback and needs code review. I think that it's basically just open for discussion on what these names could potentially be.
These issues are my favorite kind, but I didn't get the chance to just review. And yeah, it's just the small changes that improve the product overall. Like if people have a better understanding without needing to have huge chunks of help text, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
The suggested options are interesting because they're really long for being a select list. But maybe that's good,
Yeah. So usually, I know that this is a drop-down menu, but usually in such cases, like if there's only 3 options, we can make that a radio and have individual help text underneath. Like the things that are in brackets can go as individual help text underneath each option.
I think that sounds like a really great idea.
Yeah, but as I said, I still didn't get the chance to review it. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the rest of the form dictates what form elements like have the best aesthetic. But I think I would have to agree that conventionally and in UX, if you don't know the options inside of a select list, like for something like state dropdown or province or country, you know the options that are inside of it, so a select list is acceptable. But if there's a few number of options and you have no idea what the options commonly would be, then radios are a better form element.
Yeah.
It's just according to the normal rules, but I think you might be right that this could be a situation in which the rules would apply.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4081, that's a great suggestion, Gregory. You could post a comment to that effect.
Yeah. Actually, I see now that I have reviewed early that thing, but then more discussion happened and so I had RTBC'd it. Yeah, all right, I'll take another look at the fresh PR there. Cool.
Someone added to the agenda this suggestion talking about the the next item is the MIME type UI for files is terrifying. And then it just says question mark, because there's no issue number yet.
So there's no issue. Yes, I think Jen added that on my behalf, but we both discussed it. So after we introduced the fillable file types, when you add a file type and you specify the MIME types as in a text box, as in one MIME type per row, underneath that there's an collapsed by default field set that has like a huge list of all the MIME types, which is out of date, by the way, according to the specs. So there's things missing from there. And I said that I will file an issue for it that would explore 2 libraries and 2 contrib modules in d.org that were using those respective libraries, which provide a nested, what you call a tree, JS tree, sort of like selection list with checkboxes. But I think if we introduce something like that, it may be something like the elements, the thing that we introduced in core. So it might be, yeah.
Options element?
Yes, like the options element, something that could be used in other places, like in core besides that.
Could you guide me to this page?
Yes, yes. So if you go to manage actually structure, and then it would be file types. And then just either pick an existing one or just, or not the file settings, actually the individual, just edit, configure one of them. Yeah, if you scroll,
and then inside of here.
Yes, just click on use. Yeah. So the thing was that these things can also be nested between like all the /video/text thing can be checkboxes. And if you check the top level checkbox, all the MIME types can be selected instead of that.
I see what you're saying. That so this is the input thing, and this is supposed to be helpful.
Like, yes.
The image, and so it basically is like saying everything inside of here is considered to be an image.
Yeah, just as in like either copy and paste that in the text box above, or just do the asterisk thing that covers everything. But if this whole thing was like a JS tree thing that wasn't as huge, like it had parent and sibling things that you can dig into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if you just broke it up by the main types, the slashes, application, and then an arrow inside of it, and image, and then an arrow inside of it. Yeah. I also wonder about taking this off of the page entirely and doing a dialogue, maybe.
Yeah, so that was my first option as well, similar to the token browser.
Mm-hmm.
And token browser already has a sort of like a browsing thing that you can dig further into sub tokens, you would say. Yeah. So yeah, that would be another option.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good item to maybe make a fix for.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, Gregory, could you make an issue for that?
Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah, I just said, though I said that I would do it last week or 2 weeks ago, and I completely forgot about it. But yes, I will. I'll try. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is I'm just going to keep sharing my screen so that people can see the agenda. Theme function for human / machine name is issue 3402. And this is to do with places like views or layouts or content types. Wherever we have a human readable label plus a machine name, we're displaying them in different ways throughout the user interface. And so the suggestion here is like, let's come up with a way to present label plus machine name whenever you're showing them. And at this point, it's discussion, I think.
So we need to do that in a consistent way, as in some places we have bolded text for the human name and then brackets and smaller text for machine names. But yeah, it would be sort of like good to have like a UI pattern for it that is consistent across the admin user interface.
Yeah, agreed. And the suggestion, or at least the the title of this is that, well, we could just make a theme function, something that makes consistent markup for that combination.
Yep.
Okay, it's a great one. Let's see. This next one, I'm not sure what this is all about. Fields that are dependent on other fields should be indented. And
yes,
no
again,
issue for this one either.
Again, another issue that I was meant to create an issue for. So we had a couple of things that would make the admin UI sort of like feel overwhelming when there were a lot of form elements. One of that was that the bolded, the text that, so this is sort of like one of the three issues that, if you switch to a one of those, like the demo that you opened previously, you'll see that, for example, so this is a simple form. And now we fixed the fact that labels are bolded everywhere. But if you go to field settings, for example, where you were before, like file type settings. Yeah.
This one? Oh,
no,
here.
Yes. So maybe that's not a good example then. But if you can imagine, we fixed the labels now. Here, previously wasn't working. But if you have a checkbox, and then that checkbox, no, wouldn't be that.
Yeah, I know this happens in views all the time.
Yes,
so I'm trying to remember where this happens.
Yes, so the thing is exactly there. So see how the published status, the previous one that you had. So the published thing, there it is. See, these are intended properly, but published is not. So those radio buttons should be intended to separate them from the checkbox underneath them. Remember last selection, because now it feels as if they're part of the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, I remember this happened when we switched from CTools. CTools had a proper dependency, like field dependency, and we switched it to pound states to make it so we didn't have the dependency on CTools anymore. But CTools did the indentation thing, and pound states does not. And so, it's a interesting.
And the reason why I didn't create an issue was because I think that we should have one, like one of the old ones somewhere. I just wasn't able to find it at that time. I think that there is an issue, like an existing issue for it.
Yeah, I think the thing with states is that sometimes it's not always appropriate to do the indentation, but
it's not only.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but
there you go. See.
Yeah, like this show option for scheduling, for
exactly.
example.
So it's a combination not only of states, but also of that case of a radio set or a checkbox set, and then following another checkbox that doesn't have a parent label, like a wrapper label for it. So this, in this case, again, the checkbox seems that it's part of the thing above it, which is not.
I thought that there was a dependent. Oh yeah. This one is crazy. Yeah. That's right.
We have an issue for that. So I have an issue for that where I found a third-party library, or it could be just CSS. Now I think there's some JavaScript involved, so that each time that you choose an option in a set of options, instead of having the dependent fields be after them, it would sort of like inject them under each option. I can't find the issue for it now. I'll try to find it, and this is the same family of issues that are meant to improve the forms experience, that the form API, what the form API generates basically. Just let me see if I can quickly. You can move on until I try to locate that issue, by the way.
Yeah, it might, the end solution might not be complicated here. That might be so simple as to just say, provide a utility class that just allows you to indent stuff if it's going to be conditional, which I know makes another step, but at least then we would have some tool to apply everywhere. I think in the case of views, that's views specific CSS that does indentation for it. But great. Okay, next one.
Okay, so sorry, the issue should be 2304. I have a nice screenshot, I think, as well there. Yeah, that shows what I mean. It's a Not that one, but yes, that's a separate issue. But yeah. So this is one of the things. So you select something from a set, and the relevant options appear after it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you scroll a bit down, you'll see the alternative solution, which is this.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that is much better,
It is.
but
So
complicated. Like I can see this being really, it's really good, but it's also like might not work universally.
yeah.
But
So
wow, that's cool.
yeah. So this becomes even more useful when you have a huge list of options, and then you have multiple things, and especially small screens. If this happens on mobile, then the fields that appear are off the viewport of the user, which
Hmm.
causes a usability thing problem. And I thought that this was a good solution, a cool solution for it. But this is a totally different issue. So
Oh, okay. It's not actually,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a separate.
this is a different solution or yeah, okay. It's from
This
quite
is
a while
this is
ago.
yeah, this is not the indentation thing, but
Okay.
it's different. But I thought it might be worth adding. Yep, cool.
Okay. Let's see. Fix drop-down behavior. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Drop-down, I was thinking select list, but this has to do with the
Yeah,
mobile navigation when you click on the link, whether it
yeah,
opens it or whether it goes to that page, right?
yep, exactly.
Yeah. It looks like some of the discussions in here, they're actually not making options, but instead just changing the behavior so that it's more acceptable universally. Does
Yeah.
that seem to be the case?
I haven't visited that. It's back from September, so I haven't revisited that. So I can't remember off the top of my head what the consensus was. But yeah,
Let's see, Peter, is there anything you'd like to add on this one since you filed this issue a couple of years ago?
So I
3.
think I originally filed it and it sort of people took it on, made a pull request and stuff and fixed it, but only in basis theme. And the rest of the themes or the rest of core wasn't affected at all. So I sort of reposted and wanted to try and open it again to try and get it fixed universally rather than just purely in basis, but using basis as a solution possibly. So I think it's fixed in basis, but now needs to be fixed everywhere else.
Cool. Yeah, I think that the fix was something to do with this plus thing that
Yeah.
previously it wasn't there or wasn't showing up properly. And basis now shows it prominently,
Yeah.
and that may have solved the issue.
Yeah, I think prominently was the key. It was like it was there, but it's really hard to click on, and they made it just a lot better and easier to see and use. But yeah, the rest of core still has a tiny little one that's hard to use.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so possibly provide universal CSS. Okay, let's see. This next one is an old one, Gregory, that you filed that is a real easy win, honestly. And that's in the field UI.
Yeah.
When there's only one item, like don't show it as a drop-down select list. I do this all the time, honestly,
Yeah.
where I select the field type and then I'm like, what's under the second one? Oh, nothing. And you showed all of the different things that only have one possible widget, and it's just really ridiculous.
Yeah, so there's two options. There's two options there: either render it as plain text or as a disabled field. And this is something that people that without OCDs will just ignore and never be bothered by, as in, yeah, or people that are familiar with Drupal or Backdrop. They know that there's only one option, so they will never click. But people that are, what should I say, adventurous, and they would like to click the user interface options to see what's there, they get annoyed because it's like, yeah.
Yeah, there's already highly customized JavaScript on this page that does this magical transformation here, which means we already have a perfect place to put a solution. And it's not difficult. It's already doing this work to, if you look at this page without JavaScript, it's actually the second text field or second select list is a really big select list that has opt groups inside of it for all field types and all widgets. And so it's already doing magic to convert this into these individual select lists. So it would not be a tremendous effort to simply hide the select list and put text there instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to do a count of the options you say, and if it's one, just, yeah.
Yeah, and the select list still has to be there on the page because it has to submit the form with the value in it. But it would be really trivial to simply hide this select list if there was only one option remaining and leave it on the page.
So your preference would be to add text instead of making the field locked or disabled?
Yeah, for two reasons. That disabled to me means that that value might not, well, I guess maybe this is probably specific to me entirely, that a disabled field won't submit into the post request. So that adds a technical challenge that if you disabled it, the value wouldn't be submitted.
Okay.
And from an end user perspective, for some people, they might also feel that they weren't submitting a value if it was disabled, but that might just be me because I know that's the way the browser works.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe you want to add a comment related to that, so that whenever we pick that up, we know that we work towards, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, I really should do that instead of saying the same thing during the meetings every week. Let's see. Next up is promoted modules in the installer. I don't really want to recap this one because it hasn't gone anywhere recently. That instead of experimental modules, an alternative would be to promote modules in the project browser as being ones that are potentially candidates for future core inclusion.
Yes, it solves a lot of problems that D8 currently has with things being added as experimental, people using it and then being removed from core with an uncertain future. And it lowers the overhead. The reason why Drupal 8 has gone with that solution is because they don't have a project browser. We do. So.
Yeah. So I'm not going to recap that one. There's no recent activity there. Okay. Let's move on to the design section where there are some things that are specific, like just the appearance of things rather than the way that they function. And the first one that we've got actually had some movement this week, issue 4093, that the default color that Basis provides in its header, this right here, St. Paul Tim brought up that he doesn't like it. And I think a lot of people were kind of in agreement too. They were like, yeah, that really does cause some issues. And I noted that when you have a long site name, it looks horrible because it like stretches across the entire top. And so the solution, we actually merged this change, is that we kept the setting for site name background, but we made it so that it only applies to mobile. So here's what this looks like on mobile. And so the setting is now just renamed to mobile or title background, and it doesn't affect the desktop version anymore.
Cool.
So I wasn't sure about this. Looks like Tim posted a comment about when it should be merged in. But everyone was kind of in agreement in this issue that it would be bug fix applicable, questionable. But I said, okay, sounds good. So that'll be in 1.14.2.
So basically, Tim what says is that he recognizes the nature of this issue, and if similar issues come up in the future, we should decide on policy what we do. So that's what the follow-up that he filed for is for. Sorry.
Great. Let's see. This next one is a straight up pretty easy bug that when you're using, I think, when you're using two hero blocks or flexible layout. Anyway, there's a margin problem that just can be fixed here.
Yeah. And there's consensus in that we should move the margin or I think it's a margin, yes, to another element instead of having it in the hero block, because the idea there was to have a gap between the single hero block and what follows it, as in plain text. We just never thought of having two hero blocks. But this is sort of like creating a single page website where you have multiple blocks.
Big blocks. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good first issue, just CSS thing. No pull request there yet.
Yep.
And then lastly, I'm not really sure if this is a design issue, but I can see how it could be related, that SVG support in core, that SVGs could be commonly used by designers as a way to have highly scalable vector graphics. And the solution here is actually pretty simple in the where people have kind of agreed, and that is just simply that right now there's a hard-coded list of supported extensions. And so the idea is that we ask the toolkit what extensions it supports rather than hard coding this list. But I'm not actually sure what that'll look like.
There's a second bit to that, which might be a little bit more elaborate, and that's supporting thumbnails when uploading those SVG images as in the field. It's not supported at the moment. So there are contrib modules in Drupal land that do that.
Sorry, what's not supported?
So if you upload an SVG on a image field, it doesn't generate a thumbnail for it, as we do for the rest of the images. So that's the second bit. I'm not sure if we have a separate issue for that, but yeah, that's all related. So in other words, better support for SVG. Yeah. So yeah, one bit is adding the extension or automatically sort of like including image extensions which include SVG, because there's also other extensions like animated GIF, which is a GIF, and APNGs. We hard code and we don't account for those. And now that I mention it, there is an issue as well about retaining the animated GIF animation thing, because if you apply style, image styles to them, it removes the animation. And the solution that we came up, I can't remember the issue again for that. The solution that we came up for there is that to warn people, saying that if they do not leave the image untouched and they select an image style, it would break their animation. But yeah.
Yep. So some things to think about.
Yeah.
I do like that, we can derive some ideas here from the Drupal space. Thanks for linking to these issues, that they've done something pretty simple that just allows things to be possible.
Yeah, and the two projects that I list there that contributed, I think, is the SVG image, and there must be another one, I can't remember now. But
yeah, I did something very similar to this at one point. Yeah. I mentioned before the call that there's also potentially some concern about SVGs because they can contain JavaScript. And so there might be some security concern there. That I saw there was a Drupal module for like SVG sanitizer or something like that attempts to make them safe. But yeah, it gets a little fuzzy there. Okay. Well, we've got some also other things, print related tasks that we'd like at some point to create a banner, a pop-up banner stickers. We could potentially get new rounds of stickers. Some people have suggested ones that are specifically made for the glowing Apple on the back of Apple laptops. But yeah, we're open to those suggestions. And yeah, we do have some funding available for that, but we don't have any funding to pay designers. So so anyone that's interested in that, please reach out, info@backdropcms.org. You guys have anything else you guys would like to cover in the design and UX meeting?
I just popped on because I saw the thing about the print banners, and I actually have a rough mock-up that I've started on a print banner. I don't know if we want to look at that now.
Sure, why not? Here, I'll stop my share if you want to share your screen, if you have it. Or if you want to hold it up to your camera.
Yeah, actually, I will do that because it's on the laptop right now. Hang on just a second.
Okay. Technology.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an art project I started in the summer and worked on.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, it's got a dragon. It's coming in. It's coming out of the Drupal drop like as an egg.
What do you think?
Yeah, so cool.
The text is going to need some help, but I don't know if we can use it or not. But the idea of the dragon coming out of the Drupal egg and then saying Drupal 7 evolved, something like that. But
it's
I love it.
I both love it and I'm appalled at the same time.
Anyway, it's very the text is very rough, but I can post something in that issue queue.
Yeah, a screenshot.
And provide feedback.
Yeah, I love it.
It's very, very catchy. Can you show it again? Sorry, the dragon looks interesting.
Here, I'll flip over to a bigger view of the.
Huh. That's a pretty cool dragon, I gotta say. Cool. Okay. That sounds cool. Why don't you do we have an issue for this anywhere? It'd be nice to have some place to share this.
There is
an issue. I think it's in the ops.
Yeah, it's in ops. Okay.
Under which repo?
I think it's the backdropcms.org thing.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, if you search for banner.
424.
Okay, there you go.
Cool.
Yes, please post a screenshot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anybody who's got ideas for content, I was trying to get earlier way back, like what's the text supposed to be on this banner, but I don't think anybody's fully thought that through yet. So
yeah, if you post what you have as a comment with the text that you have now, we can improve on it. This is how we usually work.
Okay.
Just post a recommendation and we'll work on it.
Sounds good.
Great.
It's really really awesome.
Thanks for jumping on, Lauren, to describe that. It's very cool. Okay, well let's try and actually end this meeting before the next one starts. So we'll give ourselves 10 minutes to regroup, and then we'll be meeting back up again for the dev meeting. So thank you guys all for joining, and we'll see you guys either in 10 minutes or next week or on the internet. So thank you, everybody.